two voices, two growls, two sets of golden eyes locked in a battle that could tear the world apart. "She's mine," Alpha Kian snarled, his voice a deep, commanding growl that made the very walls tremble. His chest heaved, muscles rippling beneath his open black shirt, veins standing out against his tan skin. He slammed one hand against the stone wall beside my head, caging me in. His scent, pine and smoke, wrapped around me, suffocating and intoxicating all at once. Over my dead body, Alpha Jax barked, stepping forward with a dangerous, reckless grin that didn't quite hide the storm raging in his wild green eyes. His hand snatched mine, tugging me behind him, shielding me with his body. The air between them practically crackled, hot and sharp as lightning. And me? I stood trembling, breathless, burning because secretly, shamefully, I wanted both of them. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this mansion. Not standing between two alphas ready to rip each other apart over me. Just 3 days ago, I was scrubbing dishes at the lowly kitchen of a neighboring pack house, barely surviving. I was nobody, just Alara, the quiet Omega no one looked at twice. But when the Mooncrest pack sent a carriage, demanding the strongest and most obedient Omegas to serve in the Alpha estate, I didn't hesitate. It was supposed to be an opportunity, a chance to earn coin, maybe even dream of a better life. Instead, I was stepping straight into a nightmare. The mansion loomed before me like a dark, glittering trap, its towering spires disappearing into the mist. The moment I crossed the threshold, the air felt different, thicker, charged. And underneath the sharp tang of polish and firewood, there was them, two powerful male scents that made my knees weak and my pulse race. "Keep your head down," the headmaid hissed as she pushed me toward the servants' quarters. "Whatever happens, never look either alpha directly in the eye. They'll take it as a challenge." Her warning should have scared me. But my heart fluttered with something dangerously close to curiosity. I heard of them before, of course. Everyone had. Alpha Kian, the elder brother, was known for his cold, calculating rule. He was ruthless, perfect, untouchable, the kind of leader who inspired loyalty through fear and respect. Alpha Jax, on the other hand, was chaos personified. Wild, unpredictable, always pushing against Kian's strict rules. Some whispered he was more beast than man. Brothers by blood, rivals by nature. And from the whispers I overheard, they hated each other with a passion strong enough to destroy the entire pack. I thought I'd never cross their paths directly. I thought I could hide in the shadows, cleaning and serving silently. I was wrong. It was my third night. I'd been sent to deliver fresh towels to the upper wing, strictly forbidden territory for low-ranking servants. My hands shook as I crept through the hallways, the marble floors gleaming like mirrors under the golden torchlight. A sound froze me in my tracks. A growl, low and primal, vibrating through the walls. Then another, louder, angrier. My breath caught. I should have turned and run, but my feet carried me closer. Closer, until I peeked through a slightly open door. What I saw stole the air from my lungs. Two male figures, both shirtless, bodies glistening with sweat, circling each other like predators. Kian's face was a mask of fury, his golden eyes burning like twin suns. Jax was grinning that reckless, maddening grin as he licked blood from a split lip. "You're losing control, brother," Jax taunted, rolling his shoulders. "She smells like temptation, doesn't she?" Kian's snarl shook the chandeliers. "Stay away from her, Jax. She's mine." My heart stopped. Were they talking about me? No. It wasn't possible. I was nobody, an invisible maid. But then Jax's wild green eyes snapped to the doorway. "To me." "Too late," he growled and lunged. I stumbled back with a gasp as the door burst open. Jax was suddenly in front of me, all heat and danger, his bare chest brushing mine as he yanked me close. His scent, wild cedar and storm winds, wrapped around me, dizzying. "Little Omega," he purred, voice rough silk. "You shouldn't be wandering alone. Someone might claim you." Behind him, Kian's roar echoed through the hall. "Jax." And then he was there too, his hand slamming against the wall beside my head, caging me in. His eyes seared into mine, cold and commanding. Release her.
Now.
No. Jack shot back, pulling me behind him protectively. She doesn't belong to you. She belongs to this pack. Kian snarled, his jaw clenched. And as Alpha, I decide who touches her. My chest heaved, my body trembling. The heat radiating from both of them was unbearable, like standing between two raging fires. And worst of all, deep inside, something primal in me responded. My Omega instincts purred, traitorous and hungry. I hated it. I craved it. The entire pack gathered that night for the monthly feast, a lavish display of wealth and power. I'd been ordered to serve at the Alpha's table, my hands trembling so hard I nearly dropped a silver goblet. Kian sat at the head, his posture regal, his every movement precise and controlled. Jax lounged carelessly to his left, boots on the table, smirking like he owned the room. Whispers rippled through the hall as I approached. I could feel every eye on me. Some looked at me with pity, others with envy, most with hostility. And then it happened. As I leaned forward to pour Kian's wine, his hand shot out and wrapped around my wrist. The entire hall went silent. She's mine, Kian declared, his voice carrying like a thunderclap. This Omega belongs to me. Any man who touches her dies. Gasps erupted. The council members shifted uneasily, muttering about tradition and rules. But no one dared challenge him. I stood frozen, heart pounding so loudly I thought it would burst. Kian's grip was iron, unbreakable, and his gaze burned into me with a mixture of possession and something far more dangerous. Then, a slow, mocking clap broke the silence. Jax rose to his feet, his grin razor-sharp. Well, brother. How noble of you to stake a claim you can't protect. He stalked toward us, his presence a storm. When he reached me, his fingers brushed mine, just for a second, and my knees nearly buckled from the electric jolt. You think you can keep her from me? Jax murmured, close enough for only me to hear. Watch me. And then, loudly for the whole room. I vow before the moon goddess herself, I will steal her from you, Kian. The hall erupted into chaos. Wolves shouting, chairs scraping, the clash of voices filling the air. I stood between them, trembling, drowning in fear and forbidden desire. Because deep down, in the darkest corner of my soul, I didn't want either of them to stop fighting. I wanted to know what it would feel like to belong to both. As the pack dispersed in a frenzy, Kian leaned down, his lips brushing my ear. His voice was low, deadly. You will come to my chambers tonight. Alone. My breath hitched. I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. But before I could answer, Jax's voice rang out from across the hall, wild and defiant. Don't listen to him, little Omega. Run to me instead. 2 brothers. 2 alphas. 2 paths that could destroy me. And me? I was standing on the edge of a desire so dangerous, it could consume us all. Asterisk, his breath was at my ear. Say you don't want me, little Omega, Kian growled, his voice as rough as gravel and as smooth as sin. My lips trembled. I opened my mouth to lie, to deny him, to protect myself, but the truth came out in a broken, humiliating whimper. Asterisk. The hall was still buzzing with whispers when I woke the next morning. Kian's words from the feast the night before echoed endlessly in my mind. She's mine. I pressed my palms to my burning cheeks, trying to convince myself it had been a dream. A terrible, dangerous dream. But the bruises on my wrist from his possessive grip told a different story. Every servant I passed in the corridor stared at me, some with awe, most with thinly veiled hatred. She's just a maid, one hissed under her breath. How dare she steal the Alpha's attention? I heard the younger Alpha swore to take her too. Another whispered back. 2 Alphas fighting over 1 Omega? The pack will tear itself apart. Their words made my stomach twist. I hadn't stolen anything. I didn't even want this attention, did I? I was polishing silverware in the main hall when Kian appeared without warning. The room seemed to darken around him, his cold presence filling every corner. Follow me, he ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. My heart pounded as I trailed behind him, my steps quick and quiet. We stopped in a private training chamber, empty except for a few scattered weapons and a single low table. Kian turned sharply. His golden eyes roamed over me, slow and deliberate. Take off your dress. My breath caught. Alpha. I stammered, clutching the fabric at my chest. Why would I? His jaw flexed. You fell last night when Jax dragged you. I need to check for bruises. Injuries. Now. Take it off. The command in his voice bypassed my mind and went straight to my body, sending a tremor of heat through me. I knew it was wrong. I knew I should refuse. But my fingers moved on their own, untying the laces at my back until the simple maid's dress slid down my shoulders and pooled at my feet. I stood in nothing but a thin slip, trembling under his gaze. Kian's nostrils flared. His hands clenched at his sides, as though holding himself back took every ounce of strength. He stepped forward, so close that his breath brushed my skin. His fingertips hovered over my collarbone without touching, tracing invisible lines of fire. You bruise easily, he murmured. I'll have to teach you how to withstand pain. My omega must be strong. The way he said my omega sent a shiver down my spine. But then his eyes darkened, his restraint visibly cracking. Say you don't want me, little omega, he growled, his voice deep and rough. I opened my mouth to lie, to push him away, but what came out was a pathetic, breathless whimper. His answering smile was slow and dangerous. Good girl, he whispered. Before anything more could happen, a crash echoed in the distance, the sound of shattering glass. Kian's body went rigid. He stepped back, face cold once more. Get dressed, he ordered, spinning on his heel and striding from the room. I was left shaking, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. Later that day, I was in the pantry, stacking baskets of fruit, trying desperately to regain my composure. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Kian's face. He hadn't even touched me, and yet my body felt like a live wire, trembling with unspoken need. The door slammed shut behind me. I gasped, spinning around. Jax leaned casually against the wooden frame, his green eyes glittering with mischief and rage. Unlike Kian's icy control, Jax's presence was wild and unpredictable, like standing too close to a bonfire. Funny thing, he drawled, stalking toward me with slow, deliberate steps. Everywhere I go today, people are whispering your name. The Omega, who is both alphas ready to kill each other. Quite the reputation you're building, little maid. I don't want this, I protested, backing up until my spine hit the shelves. This isn't my fault. He slammed his hand beside my head, caging me in. Not your fault, he snarled, his face inches from mine. You walk around smelling like sin and innocence all tangled together, and you think I won't notice? You think he won't. My breath hitched. His scent, wild cedar and storm winds, filled my lungs, intoxicating and dizzying. Jax's voice dropped to a rough whisper. Tell me you don't crave me, Ilera. Tell me you don't wake up in the middle of the night aching, imagining my hands on you. My lips parted, but no sound came out. Because the terrifying truth was, I did imagine it. Both of them. Jax's jaw clenched. That's what I thought. His head dipped lower, his lips grazing my ear. I'm going to steal you from him, little Omega. And when I do, you'll beg me not to stop. Before I could respond, he was gone, leaving me breathless and shaking. By evening, the entire pack was buzzing with rumors. 2 alphas circling a mirror maid. Whispers of violence, lust, and power. Some servants glared openly as I passed. Others smirked, clearly enjoying the chaos. I wanted to disappear, to run far away from this madness. But every time I thought about leaving, my traitorous body burned with longing. For Kian's control. For Jax's wildness. For both. The full moon rose high and silver, casting an eerie glow over the grand hall. Tonight's feast was even more extravagant than the last. Roasted meats, overflowing goblets, laughter that sounded just a little too sharp. I was assigned to serve near the alpha's table again. My hands trembled as I poured wine, careful to avoid both of their gazes. But even without looking, I felt them. Kian's piercing stare like a blade between my shoulder blades. Jax's hungry smirk, heat radiating from across the table. The air was thick, almost suffocating. And underneath it all, a strange warmth was building in my veins, coiling low in my belly. At first, I thought it was nerves, but then it grew stronger, hotter, until sweat dotted my skin, and my breaths came short and shallow. Oh no, not here. Not now. I staggered, nearly dropping a tray. A sharp, painful heat flooded my body, setting every nerve alight. It couldn't be. It couldn't be. But it was. My first heat cycle. The moment my scent shifted, both alphas reacted instantly. Kian's chair scraped back with a harsh screech. His golden eyes blazed, pupils blown wide. Jax was on his feet in a heartbeat, his own growl rumbling deep and dangerous. The rest of the pack froze, the hall falling silent except for my ragged breaths. "She's in heat," someone whispered, horrified. The words were like a spark to dry tinder. The two brothers lunged at the same time, snarls tearing through the air. They collided with bone-jarring force, claws and fists flying, each desperate to reach me first. I stumbled backward, my vision blurring with pain and need. My body screamed for relief, for touch, for them. "No!" Kian roared, throwing Jax across the table. "She's mine." "Not tonight," Jax snarled, launching himself back with feral strength. "Not ever." The pack erupted into chaos, some rushing to restrain the brothers, others fleeing in terror. And me? I sank to my knees, gasping, burning alive. My heat had begun, and in a room full of powerful wolves, there would be no hiding what I truly was. Kian's furious voice cut through the madness, sharp as a blade. "Clear the hall," he commanded. "She stays with me." "No," Jax bellowed, his voice breaking with rage. "She's coming with me." As they battled, I clutched my chest, fighting the overwhelming wave of desire and fear. I didn't know who to choose. I didn't even know if I'd survive the night. The last thing I saw before darkness swallowed me was both alphas lunging toward me, their eyes wild with primal need, and the full moon glowing blood red above us. Asterisk, the room spun as heat consumed me. Hands, growls, teeth grazing my throat. Then a deafening roar split the night. "Touch her again and you die." Asterisk. The full moon was silver and merciless above the pack hall, its glow streaming through the open rafters as music and laughter filled the air. Alara stood near the back, her hands clasped tightly as she tried to focus on her duties. She had scrubbed every table, polished every silver goblet, and arranged every platter of roasted meat. She had done everything perfectly, but nothing prepared her for this. The moment her gaze lifted and met Alpha Kian's golden eyes from across the room, a strange heat stirred in her belly. Then she felt Alpha Jax's wild, storm-gray stare on her back, his smirk dangerous, possessive. And then it happened. It started with a tremble in her knees, then a flush across her skin, as though invisible hands were stroking her everywhere at once. Her breath caught. Her pulse roared. Her vision blurred. "No, no, no, not here." Alara's heart plummeted. She had heard whispers of this happening, but she'd prayed it would never happen to her. Not in public, not like this. Her first heat cycle was coming, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. Her tray slipped from her trembling fingers, the crash of silver goblets, silencing the entire hall. "Alara," someone gasped. The crowd's voices rose in alarm, then in hungry whispers. Omega scent, sweet, heady, unmistakable, filled the air like wildfire. The alphas lose control. Two growls thundered at once. "Mine!" Kian's roar shook the rafters as he surged forward, his cold, controlled demeanor shattering into primal fury. "Over my dead body." Jax's snarl was savage, his movements wild and untamed as he lunged from the opposite side of the hall. The brothers collided in a storm of fists, claws, and snarls. Chairs splintered. Plates shattered. Pack members screamed and scrambled back, forming a circle around the fighting alphas. "Stop them," someone shouted. But no one dared interfere. Two alpha wolves battling over a single omega? It was a death wish. Alara staggered backward, clutching her burning body. She couldn't think. She couldn't breathe. Every nerve screamed for touch, for release, for something she didn't fully understand. Please, she whimpered, tears streaking her flushed cheeks. But her voice was drowned by the sound of claws raking against flesh. Kian slammed Jax into the long feast table, splintering it in half. You're reckless. You'll hurt her, he roared, his chest heaving, golden eyes blazing with lethal fury. Jax spat blood and laughed darkly. And you're a cold-hearted bastard who doesn't deserve her. Their fight was more than just about Alara. It was years of rivalry, resentment, and buried wounds erupting into violence. The pack watched, stunned and terrified. Two leaders, two futures, one Omega, and Alara was the match that had lit the fire. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the hall. Enough! The Elder Council stormed in, ancient and powerful, their presence instantly commanding respect. Even Kian and Jax froze, chests heaving, claws dripping crimson. Have you lost your minds? Elder Rowan hissed, his silver hair glowing in the moonlight. Fighting in the sacred hall? Over an Omega? She's not just an Omega. Kian snarled, his body angling protectively toward Alara. She's mine. Jax growled low, his voice like a dark promise. Yours? She was never yours, Kian. She belongs to me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Alara's trembling intensified. I don't belong to anyone. But no one looked at her. No one asked what she wanted. Elder Rowan raised his hand, silencing them all. The pack cannot survive two alphas fighting over the same Omega, he declared, his voice like stone. The balance of leadership will shatter, and chaos will consume us. Kian's jaw flexed. Jax's fists clenched. Neither looked ready to surrender. Rowan's gaze darkened. Then the old laws will decide. Whispers erupted. The old laws were brutal, rarely invoked. By the next blood moon, Rowan intoned, there will be a trial of dominance. A battle sanctioned by the council. The victor will claim the Omega as mate, and the loser will be exiled. Alara's blood turned to ice. Claimed? Trial? Exile? No, she gasped, finally finding her voice. I'm not a prize to be. Silence. Rowan barked. Her protest died in her throat, swallowed by fear. The verdict was final. Her fate was sealed. The crowd dispersed reluctantly, buzzing with gossip and excitement about the upcoming trial. But Alara was left trembling in the shadows, her body still throbbing from the heat cycle's cruel grip. Kian approached slowly, his golden eyes softening for the first time. Alara, he murmured, his voice a dark velvet. You need rest. You're burning up. Don't touch me, she choked, backing away. You're both monsters. Fighting over me like I'm... His jaw tightened. You're not a thing to me. Then, softer, almost pleading. You're everything. Before she could respond, Jax appeared, bruised but unbroken, his smirk feral. Sweet little Omega, he drawled. Don't let his lies fool you. I'll set you free. I'll burn this entire pack to the ground if it means you're mine. Alara's heart raced wildly as the two towering alphas glared at each other over her trembling form. I'm trapped, she realized, between fire and ice. Between two wolves who might destroy me or devour me whole. Later that night, the stables echoed with snarls and harsh breathing. Kian shoved Jax against the wooden beams, his fist slamming into his brother's jaw. You'll lose the trial, he hissed. And when you do, you'll leave forever. Jax wiped blood from his mouth and grinned. You think you're worthy of her? You, the emotionless king who rules through fear. Kian's chest heaved. She needs protection, discipline, stability, not a wild beast like you. Jax's grin faded into something darker.
No, Kian.
She needs someone who sees her, who wants her. And you? You've never wanted anything in your life until now. Kian's golden eyes flickered, betraying a crack in his icy armor. His voice dropped, dangerously soft. I want her more than you could ever understand. The admission hung between them like a loaded weapon. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Jax lunged, and their battle began anew. Quieter, deadlier, fueled by obsession. Alara stirred, consciousness returning slowly. She blinked against the dim light filtering through unfamiliar curtains. Soft sheets cocooned her overheated body, the scent of pine and smoke surrounding her. Panic surged. Where am I? She glanced down and froze. Her clothes were gone. Before she could scream, the door creaked open. Kian stepped inside, shirtless, his powerful frame outlined by the glow of the fire. His golden eyes locked on hers, intense and possessive. Don't move, Alara, he ordered, his voice low and rough. Her breath hitched. Kian, what did you do? He crossed the room in 2 strides, towering over her. I stayed by your side all night. Your heat nearly destroyed you. If I hadn't been here, Jax would've. He broke off, his hands trembling. No one will touch you. Not him. Not anyone. From this moment on, his gaze burned into her soul. You're mine. The door slammed open with a deafening crash. Jax stood in the doorway, wild and furious, his gray eyes blazing. You bastard, he roared, lunging toward Kian. You think you can steal her away? I'll kill you for this. Alara screamed as the brothers collided, their roars shaking the very walls. And in that instant, she knew. This wasn't just a fight for dominance. It was a fight for her life. Asterisk, he didn't touch me. That was the worst part. The way he hovered, lips close enough to taste. Beg me, Alara, he whispered, his voice dark silk, and I'll ruin you completely. Asterisk. The world was a blur of snarls, crashing furniture, and the thunder of 2 raging alphas. Alara cowered in the corner of Kian's chamber, her chest heaving, her bare skin hidden only beneath his sheets. Stop. Please stop. Kian and Jax clashed like beasts, their power shaking the room. Kian was precise, brutal, his golden eyes sharp with lethal focus. Jax was wild, unpredictable, his attacks fueled by raw fury. You took her while she was vulnerable. Jax roared, lunging. Kian blocked the blow and slammed his brother into the wall, his voice a dangerous growl. I protected her, you reckless fool. You would have let her burn through the heat alone. She doesn't need protection. Jax spat, his gray eyes burning with madness. She needs freedom, and you'll never give her that. The door burst open. Elder Rowan and several guards rushed in, their presence cutting through the chaos. That's enough, Rowan barked. One more act of violence, and the council will strip you both of your alpha titles. Kian released Jax with visible restraint, his chest heaving. Jax glared, his breath ragged, but backed away. This isn't over, Jax snarled, pointing a trembling finger at Kian. You can lock her up in your cold little palace, but she'll never be yours. His gaze flicked to Alara, softening, almost pleading, before he stormed out. The room fell silent except for Alara's trembling breaths. Kian turned to her slowly, his golden eyes unreadable. Alara. She clutched the sheets tighter, backing against the headboard. Don't come near me. His jaw flexed, but he stopped where he was. You're safe now, he said quietly. He won't touch you. Her laugh was bitter and broken. Safe? You think this is safety? I woke up naked in your bed, Kian, with no memory of what happened. Her voice cracked. Did you touch me? His expression hardened, a flicker of pain beneath the ice. No, his voice was steel. I stayed with you to make sure you survived the heat. That's all. Her heart twisted. She wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at her. You should have let me burn, she whispered. Better than being a prize in your twisted game. Kian's nostrils flared, but he didn't argue. Instead, he walked to the door. You will remain here until your strength returns, he said coldly. And until the trial. Alara's eyes widened. You mean, I'm your prisoner? His golden gaze locked on hers, unflinching.
No, Alara.
You're my future. And then he was gone, leaving her breathless and furious. 2 days later, Kian summoned her. Alara's heart pounded as she followed the guard through winding hallways to his private chambers, a place no servant dared enter. The room was vast and darkly beautiful, all black stone, gold accents, and the faint scent of pine and smoke that was uniquely Kian. He sat in a high-backed chair near the fire, his posture regal, his shirt undone just enough to reveal the powerful muscles of his chest. "Come here," he ordered softly. Alara froze. "Why?" One golden brow arched. "Because I told you to." Her pulse raced. Part of her wanted to run. The other part wanted to obey. She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the rugs. When she was within reach, Kian rose to his full, intimidating height. He circled her slowly, like a predator appraising prey, his breath brushing her hair. "You're trembling," he murmured. "Is it fear, Alara, or something else?" She clenched her fists. "It's fear. Liar." His whisper slid down her spine like ice. "You crave this. My voice. My command." Her cheeks burned, anger and shame warring inside her. "You're insane." "Am I?" He leaned closer, his lips almost grazing her ear but not touching. "Your sense says otherwise." Kian gestured to a small table where a leather-bound book lay open. "Read to me." She blinked. "What?" "You will read," he said simply, "while I listen." Confused and wary, Alara picked up the book and began reading aloud. Her voice trembled at first, but as the words flowed, it steadied. Kian prowled around her as she read, never touching, but always near. His shadow fell over her shoulder. His breath ghosted along her neck. Sometimes his fingers trailed along the back of the chair, never her skin, but close enough to make her shiver. Her body betrayed her. Each brush of air, each subtle command, sent heat pooling low in her belly. "You're playing with me," she accused, slamming the book shut. Kian's smile was dangerous. "I'm teaching you control." You're cruel," she whispered, backing away. He followed slowly, his golden eyes glowing in the firelight.
No, Alara.
"I'm patient. I could take you right now, claim you, make you beg for mercy." His voice dropped to a lethal purr. "But I won't, because I want you to beg me first." Her knees nearly buckled. "Beg you for what?" she breathed, horrified at the tremor in her voice. "For everything." His lips hovered near hers, so close she could taste the heat of him. But he didn't kiss her. The denial was maddening, worse than any touch. Alara's hands trembled as she shoved him away. "I hate you." Kian chuckled low, unbothered. "You'll hate me until the moment you scream my name." The door burst open. Jack stormed in, his gray eyes wild. "Alara." His gaze darted between her flushed cheeks and trembling form, and Kian's smug, composed stance. You bastard. What have you done to her?"
Kian didn't flinch.
"Nothing." His smirk was pure provocation. "Yet." Jax growled, stepping protectively in front of Alara. "Don't listen to him," he urged her. "He's twisting you, breaking you down. Come with me now." Alara's heart raced, torn between them. Kian's golden gaze burned into hers, silent but commanding. Jax's storm-gray eyes pleaded desperately. "Please," Jax whispered. "Choose me." That night, while the pack slept, Alara tried to calm her racing thoughts. She couldn't deny the truth. Kian's presence was intoxicating. Every cruel word, every near touch had ignited something inside her she didn't want to name. But Jax was freedom, wildness, chaos, and maybe salvation. The window creaked. Before she could react, strong arms swept her off the bed. "Sure," Jax hissed, his breath hot against her ear. "It's me." "Jax." "What are you doing?" she whispered harshly, struggling. "Saving you," he growled. "Before Kian destroys you completely." He carried her into the night, his grip unyielding despite her protests. Behind them, in the shadows, golden eyes glowed. Kian watched silently, his expression unreadable, but his hands curled into fists, and the promise in his gaze was clear. "No one steals from me and Levs." As Jax sprinted through the forest with Alara in his arms, she realized the truth. She wasn't escaping one alpha. She was running straight into the arms of another beast. And when Kian came for them because there would be no place to hide. "He'll destroy you, Alara," Jax roared, his claws digging into the tree beside my head. "And you won't," I screamed back. Silence. Then his lips crashed against mine. The cold night air wrapped around me like a second skin, sharp and biting, but nothing compared to the wildfire burning inside my veins. My legs ached from running, my lungs screaming for air, yet Jax didn't stop dragging me deeper into the forest. His hand was locked around my wrist like a shackle, his grip rough, desperate, almost possessive. "Jax," I panted, stumbling over a gnarled root. "Where are you taking me?" He didn't answer, just kept pushing forward, his broad back rigid beneath the moonlight. His wild dark hair clung to his sweat-slick skin, the muscles of his shoulders tense as if barely holding back something dangerous. Finally, when my legs could no longer carry me, he spun and shoved me against the trunk of an ancient oak. The bark scraped my back through my thin maid's dress, but it was his feral golden eyes that stole the breath from my lungs. "He'll destroy you, Alara," Jax snarled, voice thick with rage, and something else. His claws extended, sinking into the wood beside my head with a sickening crack. "Kian will twist you into one of his toys, just like he twists everyone around him." My heart hammered so hard I swore he could hear it. My lips trembled, but I forced the words out. "And you won't." The world seemed to hold its breath. For one terrifying second, even the forest went silent. Then Jax's gaze darkened, his chest heaving. He didn't answer with words. His mouth crashed against mine. It wasn't a kiss. It was a claim, raw and consuming. His lips were fire, his tongue demanding, his hands braced on either side of me like he was caging me in. I gasped, the sound swallowed by his hunger. My body betrayed me instantly, arching toward him, my fingers tangling in his wild hair. The taste of him was maddening, pine, smoke, and something untamed that made my omega core pulse with need. When he finally tore his mouth from mine, we were both panting like animals. "You drive me insane," he rasped, pressing his forehead to mine. His voice shook, not with weakness, but with the unbearable force of everything he felt. "You think I don't see the way he looks at you? The way you look at him? But you're mine, Alara. You've been mine since the moment I scented you." His confession sent a shiver rippling through me, sharp and sweet. I wanted to deny it, to scream that he was wrong, but my treacherous body leaned closer, craving him. "Jax," my voice cracked. "You can't just—" He silenced me with a growl, his thumb brushing my swollen bottom lip. "Say it. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me you don't want me." My chest rose and fell in rapid, uneven breaths. Images of Kian's cold, devastatingly controlled touch flashed through my mind. The way he'd cornered me, teased me without mercy, made me burn for him. But Jax was chaos. He was wildfire. And right now, I wanted to burn. My voice broke, the truth spilling out in a whisper. "I do want you." A guttural sound tore from his throat, primal and victorious. His hands slid down my arms, gripping my waist like he might never let go. He pressed me harder against the tree, his body a furnace against mine, and I felt the rigid proof of his desire straining against his trousers. "Gods, Alara," he groaned, his lips finding the sensitive skin beneath my ear. His teeth grazed me, just enough to make me gasp. "If you were mine, I'd never let him touch you. I'd worship you, every inch of you, until you couldn't remember his name." The words painted vivid, dangerous images in my mind. My breath hitched, my thighs clenching. "Jax, please." "Please what?" he demanded, pulling back just enough to search my face. His eyes blazed with hunger and desperation. "Say it. Say you want me to ruin you." I opened my mouth, but before I could answer, a branch snapped in the distance. Jax went rigid. His alpha senses flared, nostrils flaring as he scented the air. "Pack soldiers," he snarled. "Kian must have sent them after us." Panic surged through me. We have to go. He grabbed my hand, and we sprinted through the dense forest, branches whipping at my skin. Behind us, shouts rang out, growing louder. The pack was closing in. We broke into a clearing just as moonlight bathed the forest floor in silver. Jack spun, his claws unsheathing fully, his entire body vibrating with fury. "They won't take you back to him," he roared, shifting partially into his wolf form. His teeth elongated, his growl echoing through the night. "Jax, don't fight them," I begged, clutching his arm. "They'll kill you." His gaze snapped to mine, burning with a terrifying, beautiful intensity. "Then I'll die protecting you." Before I could argue, the soldiers burst into the clearing. Wolves, massive and snarling, surrounded us. Their eyes glowed red under the moonlight, teeth bared. Jax let out a battle cry and launched himself at them. The clearing erupted into chaos, snapping jaws, ripping flesh, the metallic tang of blood thick in the air. I stumbled backward, my hands over my mouth as I watched the horror unfold. Jax was magnificent and terrifying, a whirlwind of violence as he fought them off. But there were too many. "Stop," I screamed, tears blurring my vision. "Please stop." And then a sound split the night. A low, deadly growl that froze everyone in place. Kian emerged from the shadows like a nightmare given form. His dark coat billowed behind him, his eyes glowing a cold, merciless silver. Unlike Jax's wild chaos, Kian's presence was controlled destruction, more terrifying because of how calm he seemed. "Release her," he commanded, his voice a blade slicing through the night. Jax bared his teeth, blood dripping from his claws. Over my dead body, Kian's gaze flicked to me, and for the briefest second, I saw something raw flash in his eyes. Possession. Fury.
Fear.
Then it was gone, replaced by icy rage. "So be it," he said softly. The soldiers bowed their heads and backed away, leaving a perfect circle around the two alphas. The air thickened with ancient power. "No," I whispered, stumbling forward. "Please don't do this." "Silence, Alara." Kian snapped, his voice cracking like a whip. "This is the only way." "What way?" My heart pounded. "What's happening?" Jax's chest heaved as he glared at his brother. "The ancient duel," he growled. "Winner claims the Omega. Loser dies." The world tilted beneath my feet. "No," I choked. You can't fight over me like I'm some prize." But neither alpha listened. Their focus was entirely on each other, two predators circling, ready to strike. Kian's lips curved into a cold, deadly smile. "Prepare yourself, little brother," he murmured. "Because when I win, she'll watch you die." The brothers lunge at each other, a blur of claws and teeth, while Alara screams as the duel for her fate begins. One brother would die tonight, and the other would own me forever. The night smelled of blood before the first strike even landed. The full moon hung like a cruel witness above the clearing, its crimson glow casting the ancient trees in a sinister light. The pack had formed a wide circle, their wolf eyes gleaming with excitement and dread. And in the center, two men, two brothers, prepared to destroy each other. "No!" My scream shredded the night air. My voice was raw, desperate, but it didn't matter. Neither of them looked at me. Kian and Jax circled slowly, their bodies tense, claws extended, teeth bared. The way they moved, it was primal, terrifying. The alpha energy rolling off them made my knees weaken, my omega instincts screaming at me to submit or flee. But I couldn't run. I couldn't move. Because this wasn't just about them.
This was about me.
"This ends tonight," Kian said, his voice a low, controlled growl that somehow carried to every wolf in the clearing. His silver eyes glimmered like frozen steel as he rolled his shoulders, ready to strike. "She is mine, Jax. You will accept it or die." "Over my corpse," Jax spat, his golden eyes wild. Blood streaked his jaw, his shirt ripped from the earlier fight. "You've always taken everything from me, Kian. The pack, the title, the respect. But you won't take her." Kian's expression didn't change. Then prepare to lose the last thing you have. Stop, I screamed, stumbling forward into the circle. Both of them froze for just a second, their gazes snapping to me. My chest heaved as I turned between them, tears streaming down my face. I am not a prize. I am not some object to fight over. My voice cracked, my heart breaking. Please don't do this. For a fleeting moment, I thought I saw something, hesitation, maybe even regret, flash across Kian's face. But then he looked away, his jaw hardening. This is the only way, he said coldly. If we don't resolve this, the pack will fracture. Wolves will choose sides. There will be war. And you'd rather kill each other? I sobbed. This isn't about the pack. This is about your pride. Jax's hand trembled as he reached toward me, his voice rough with emotion. Elara, go. Please. Don't watch this. No, I screamed, shaking my head violently. I won't. The sound of a drum split the night. Deep. Ancient. Final. The duel had begun. Kian struck first. He lunged with terrifying speed, his body a blur, claws aiming straight for Jax's throat. Jax dodged, barely, rolling into a crouch before launching himself upward with a guttural snarl. The clash of their bodies was like a thunderclap. Bones cracked, flesh tore, blood sprayed across the clearing as they tore into each other like rabid beasts. Gasps and growls rose from the watching wolves, their bloodlust palpable. Some cheered, others trembled, but none dared interfere. This was sacred law, an alpha challenge under the blood moon. I fell to my knees, clutching my chest as my heart pounded so violently it hurt. No, no, no. My whisper was swallowed by the sound of snarling and tearing flesh. Jax's fighting style was wild, unpredictable. He fought like a storm, his movements fueled by sheer rage and desperation. Every blow he landed was accompanied by a roar of defiance, his golden eyes blazing with love and hate. But Kian was terrifying in a different way. He was precise, controlled. Every move calculated, every strike meant to cripple. He never wasted energy, never showed emotion. It was like watching a dark god descend to earth. Yield, little brother. Kian growled as he slammed Jax into the ground, his claws digging into his chest. It doesn't have to end like this. Go to hell. Jax spat blood into his face, then headbutt him savagely. The crowd roared as Kian staggered back, silver eyes flashing. For the first time, his calm facade cracked, and the monster beneath began to show. Elara. Jax screamed, his voice breaking as Kian advanced.
Run.
Don't let him. His words were cut off by Kian's fist slamming into his jaw, sending him sprawling. No, I screamed, scrambling forward. But two pack soldiers held me back, their grips like iron. I kicked and fought, sobbing. Let me go. He'll kill him. This is law. One snarled in my ear. You interfere, you die. Kian stalked toward Jax, his breathing heavy, his body spattered with blood. You should have yielded, he said softly. Now you will lose everything. He raised his clawed hand, ready to deliver the killing blow. Kian, stop. My scream rang through the clearing, raw and wild. Please. If you love me. My voice cracked on the last word. If you love me at all, don't do this. For a heartbeat, the world held still. The pack, the trees, even the moonlight frozen. Kian's head turned slowly toward me. His silver eyes burned with something so dark and intense it stole my breath. I do love you, he said, his voice low and devastating. That's why he must never touch you again. But then something shifted. I saw it. Just a flicker. In the tightness of his jaw, the tremor in his hand. And against all odds, he lowered his claws. The crowd gasped. Even Jax stared, stunned, as Kian stepped back. I will not kill my brother, Kian announced, his voice like ice. The pack will remain united. But hear me now. His gaze swept over the wolves, cold and commanding. Elara is mine. Challenge me again and you die. The wolves bowed their heads, submitting instantly. Relief and terror warred in my chest. Jax was alive, but the cost was unbearable. Kian approached me slowly, his presence suffocating. I stumbled back, shaking, but he caught my wrist and hauled me forward until our bodies collided. His hand cupped my jaw, tilting my face up. "You see now," he murmured, so only I could hear. "There is no escaping me, little Omega." "Kian, please," I whispered, tears streaming. "This isn't love. This is." He silenced me with a brutal kiss. His lips were cold and unyielding, his tongue claiming me as completely as his words had. The pack howled in approval, their alpha displaying his dominance for all to see. When he finally released me, I was gasping, trembling, my heart shattered. "Prepare the claiming ritual," Kian ordered his beta. "Tonight, under the blood moon, she becomes mine officially." The crowd erupted in cheers, and I wanted to scream. The ritual was a blur. Torches flickered, shadows danced, and chanting filled the night. I stood in the center of the sacred circle, dizzy and weak, my body barely holding together after the storm of emotions. Kian stood behind me, his hands on my shoulders, his power wrapping around me like chains. The pack knelt, watching as their alpha marked his chosen mate. As the final words of the ritual rang out, Kian bit my neck, a sharp, searing pain that stole my breath. A mark bloomed across my skin, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The pack roared their approval, and then darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke, the world was quiet. The scent of herbs and smoke filled my nose. I was lying on soft furs, my body aching, my head pounding. "Ilera," a soft voice murmured. An older healer hovered over me, her expression grave. "You're awake." What happened?" My voice was hoarse. The healer hesitated. "Your body, it's in a delicate state." My brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard, then whispered, "You're with child." The words didn't make sense at first. Then they hit me like a physical blow. "No," I gasped, clutching my stomach. "No, that's impossible." But deep inside, I felt it. A tiny, fluttering spark of life. And with it, a single, devastating truth. I didn't know which brother it belonged to. Tears streaming down her face, Ilera realizes she is carrying an alpha's child, but whether it's Kian's or Jax's remains a mystery. And Kian must never find out, or Jax will die. 2 alphas. 2 nights I can't forget. And now, one secret that could destroy us all. The healer's words echoed in my skull, louder than the pounding of my heart. "You're with child." I sat frozen on the edge of the furs, my trembling hands clutching my stomach as though I could shield them from the truth. The truth that would tear this pack apart. "No," I whispered, shaking my head violently. "It's not possible. It can't be." The healer's face was lined with sympathy, but her voice was firm. "It is, Ilera. You carry life. Strong life. The child of an alpha." A sob tore from my throat. An alpha? But which alpha?
Kian or Jax?
Memories slammed into me. Kian's cold, possessive kiss, the way he'd stayed by my side through my heat, holding me when my body was no longer my own. And Jax, wild, reckless Jax, whose lips had burned mine in the forest, whose touch had branded me even without claiming me fully. 2 nights. 2 brothers. One secret growing inside me. If Kian found out there was even a chance the child wasn't his, Jax wouldn't just lose his life. He'd lose it slowly, painfully, in front of the entire pack. And if the pack elders discovered the uncertainty, they'd tear the baby from me before it was ever born. I pressed my hands over my mouth to smother a scream. For the next few days, I wore a mask. Every morning, I rose before dawn and performed my duties as the alpha's newly claimed mate. I smiled when Kian's icy gaze swept over me, my heart breaking a little more each time. I laughed softly when he brushed his lips against my temple, even as nausea twisted my stomach from both pregnancy and fear. But every night, when the pack slept, I curled into myself and cried silently, my body shaking with grief and terror. I was trapped, a prisoner in Kian's gilded cage. And the only person who might help me was the one man Kian despised most. It was on the third night that Jax found me. I slipped from the Alpha's chambers under cover of darkness, needing air, needing space to breathe without Kian's suffocating presence. The forest was cool and damp, moonlight filtering through the branches like silver tears. I wrapped my arms around myself, whispering to the child I hadn't yet dared to acknowledge. "I'll protect you," I murmured, my voice shaking. "No matter what it takes." A twig snapped behind me. I whirled, heart leaping into my throat, and there he was.
Jax.
Bruised, battered, but alive. His golden eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight, wild and beautiful. "Ilara," he breathed, striding toward me. Before I could speak, he crushed me against his chest, his scent wrapping around me like fire. "I thought he'd hurt you," Jax growled, his voice raw. "I thought." His hands trembled as they cupped my face. "I can't stand this, Ilara. Seeing you with him, knowing what he's done." My resolve crumbled. I clung to him, burying my face against his neck. "Jax, I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend everything is fine." His body went rigid. He pulled back just enough to search my face. "What do you mean?" "Did he?" His jaw tightened, fury blazing. "Did Kian hurt you?" "No," I whispered quickly, though it wasn't entirely true. "It's not that. It's—" My voice broke. "I'm pregnant, Jax." The words hung between us like a death sentence. Jax staggered back a step, his golden eyes widening. "You're what?" Tears blurred my vision. "I don't know whose it is," I choked out. "I don't know if it's yours or his. But if Kian finds out, he'll kill you. And if the pack elders find out," my hand went to my stomach instinctively, "they'll take the baby from me. Maybe worse." For a moment, Jax just stared, his chest heaving. Then he snarled, his claws flashing in the moonlight. "Over my dead body. No one will touch you. No one will touch our child." My breath caught. "Jax, we don't even know." "I don't care," he interrupted fiercely. "It's mine. Do you hear me? Yours and mine. I don't care about blood or fate. I won't let him have you. Either of you." My heart twisted painfully. Oh, moon goddess, I wanted to believe him, wanted to collapse into his arms and let him fix everything. But reality was crueler than dreams. "Kian is watching me constantly," I whispered. "If he even suspects we've spoken, then we'll be careful." Jax swore, gripping my shoulders. "You're not alone in this, Ilara. I'll protect you. Always." His words burned through me, dangerous and intoxicating. And before I could stop myself, I rose onto my toes and kissed him. It was desperate, aching, filled with everything we couldn't say. His hands fisted in my hair, his mouth devouring mine like he'd been starving for me. When we finally broke apart, gasping, his forehead rested against mine. "I love you," he whispered hoarsely. "I'll burn the whole pack to ash before I let him take you from me." The elders plot. But even as Jax swore to protect me, others plotted my destruction. In the council hall, a group of elders huddled together, their faces grim. "This Omega threatens everything," one snarled, slamming his fist on the table. "Two alphas already at each other's throats, and now she carries an heir whose bloodline we cannot confirm. She must be removed," another hissed. "If the brothers will not resolve this, we will." But Kian would never allow. "Then it must be done in secret," the first elder said coldly. "A quiet death. A tragic accident. The pack must never know." Their decision was unanimous, and my fate was sealed. Back in the Alpha's chambers, Kian grew more possessive by the day. He shadowed my every move, his silver eyes always watching, calculating. "You're pale," he said one morning, brushing his fingers over my cheek. "You haven't been eating. Are you ill?" Panic clawed at my throat. If he guessed the truth. "I'm fine," I said quickly, forcing a smile. just tired. Kian's gaze sharpened. He didn't believe me, but he didn't press either. Instead, he pulled me into his lap, his grip like steel. You belong to me, he murmured, his lips grazing my throat. Don't ever forget that. My heart pounded, and in that moment I knew, if he discovered my secret, there would be no mercy. It happened the following night. I was walking alone through the gardens, needing a moment of peace, when the air shifted. A shadow detached itself from the trees, moving with lethal speed. Too late, I realized the truth. The elders hadn't just plotted. They'd acted. A dagger flashed in the moonlight. I stumbled back with a cry, clutching my stomach.
No.
Please. Forgive me, Omega, the assassin hissed. This is for the good of the pack. The blade arced downward. And then Jax was there. He appeared from the darkness like a vengeful storm, his claws tearing into the attacker with a roar of pure rage. The two figures crashed to the ground, struggling violently. Run, Alara, Jax shouted, blood spraying across his face. Run. I won't leave you, I screamed, my legs frozen in terror. The assassin twisted, plunging the dagger into Jax's side. Jax's scream ripped through the night as he staggered, but he didn't stop. With a final, brutal strike, he broke the assassin's neck. Then he fell to his knees. Jax. I shrieked, rushing to his side. Blood gushed from the wound, hot and slick beneath my trembling hands. No, no, no. Stay with me, please. His golden eyes met mine, already dimming. Why, you're safe, he rasped, a faint smile ghosting his lips. That's all that matters. Don't you dare leave me, I sobbed, clutching him desperately. Don't you dare. But his eyelids fluttered shut, and somewhere in the darkness, I heard Kian's enraged roar, a sound that promised death. As Kian charges toward the scene, Alara cradles Jax's lifeless body, blood soaking her hands. She realizes her secret is no longer safe, and that the war between the brothers is about to erupt. Asterisk, his blood was on my hands. Don't cry, little Omega, he rasped, his eyes heavy with pain but still burning with desire. You were always mine. Asterisk. The forest was quiet except for the sound of ragged breathing. My arms trembled as I pressed Jax's wound, tears spilling down my cheeks like rain. His shirt was soaked in crimson, his once powerful body limp in my lap. Stay with me, I choked out, my voice breaking. Please, Jax, stay with me. His hand, trembling and sticky with blood, rose to cut my cheek. Even half-conscious, he smirked, wild, defiant. You cry too pretty for me to die now, little Omega, he rasped. His golden eyes fluttered shut for a moment, and my heart nearly stopped. No, no, don't you dare, I begged. My wolf was clawing at my insides, screaming for me to protect him. My instincts were torn in two. Half of me wanted to run back to Kian for help, the other half wanted to keep Jax hidden forever. I managed to drag him into a cave near the edge of the northern cliffs, my entire body aching. As the moonlight filtered through cracks in the stone ceiling, I ripped his shirt away and gasped. The claw marks across his ribs were deep, dangerously close to his heart. This was meant for me, I whispered, realization dawning like ice water in my veins. Someone wanted me dead, and Jax had thrown himself in front of the blow. Hours passed. I cleaned his wound as best as I could with trembling hands and river water, my tears mixing with his blood. Finally, his breathing steadied enough for him to speak. His voice was hoarse, raw. Alara, he grabbed my wrist, his grip weak but desperate. Don't go back to him. To Kian. My heart stuttered. Jax, don't do this. You need to rest. No. His growl rattled through the cave, though it faded quickly into a cough. He'll destroy you. He doesn't love you, not like I. He broke off, his chest heaving, his golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Not like I do, he finished, softer this time. My breath caught. Jax, you think I'm reckless, dangerous. And I am, he admitted, his lips twisting into a bitter smile. But gods, Alara, when I saw you bleeding under the moon that night, I swore I'd never let anyone hurt you. even if it kills me. My tears blurred my vision. You almost did die, I whispered. For me. His hand slid up to the back of my neck, pulling me down until our foreheads touched. His skin burned like fire. Because you're mine, he breathed. You've always been mine. I wanted to deny it, to push him away, to stay loyal to Kian, but my body betrayed me. The air between us thickened with heat, the raw sexual tension, a living thing. His lips hovered inches from mine, his breath warm and uneven. Say it, he demanded, his voice breaking. Say you feel it too. My voice trembled, my heart hammering wildly. I do. Our mouths crashed together, messy and desperate. His kiss was wild, almost feral, his tongue claiming mine in a way that left me gasping. My hands roamed his bare chest, careful not to brush his wounds, while his grip on my waist tightened like he never wanted to let go. We didn't go further, couldn't, with him so injured, but the hunger between us burned hotter than the fever in his veins. When we finally tore apart, breathless, I realized we'd crossed a line we could never uncross. Back at the Alpha estate, Kian was unraveling. He paced his chambers, his sharp eyes scanning the room like a predator hunting prey. His advisors cowered in the corner, none daring to speak. Find her, he ordered, his voice like ice. Find both of them. One of the soldiers hesitated. Alpha, perhaps Jax took her willingly. Perhaps she went with him. The growl that ripped from Kian's throat shook the walls. She would never choose him over me, he snarled. Never. But deep down, a seed of doubt took root. He had seen the way Alara looked at Jax during the duel, the way her breath caught whenever his brother's name was spoken. And that seed festered like poison. In the cave, Jax finally drifted into a fitful sleep, his head resting in my lap. I stroked his hair gently, my other hand unconsciously drifting to my stomach. Our child. I hadn't told him. I hadn't told anyone. I didn't even know who the father was. Whether this life growing inside me belonged to the cold, commanding Kian or the wild, reckless Jax. But one thing was certain. If the pack found out, chaos would erupt. Tears welled in my eyes. How do I choose between you? I whispered, looking down at Jax. How do I choose between either of you and this little life inside me? My wolf held softly inside me, aching for both brothers, torn just as I was. I was so lost in my thoughts, I didn't hear the footsteps until it was too late. The scent hit me first, sharp, dominant, unmistakable.
Kian.
I froze, my blood turning to ice. No, I breathed, clutching Jax protectively. The cave entrance darkened as Kian's towering figure appeared, his black hair damp from rain, his storm-gray eyes glowing with lethal fury. Alara, he said, his voice dangerously calm. My heart stuttered. Kian, please let me explain. His gaze shifted to Jax lying in my lap, shirtless, his lips still swollen from our kiss. Something primal snapped inside Kian. You dare, he snarled, his claws extending, his chest heaving. You dare betray me with him? Jax stirred weakly, groaning as he tried to sit up. Back off, brother, he rasped, baring his teeth even in his weakened state. She's not yours to claim. Kian's growl shook the cave. She was mine the moment I scented her. The moment I touched her. And you, his eyes darkened with pure hatred. You will pay for this. I leapt to my feet, throwing myself between them, tears streaming down my face. Stop it, I screamed. Please don't hurt him. He saved me. Saved you. Kian roared, advancing. He's poisoning you. You belong to me, Alara. Only me. I shook my head, sobbing. I belong to no one. The words hung in the air, a deadly challenge. Kian's eyes widened in shock, and then narrowed, cold and lethal. You'll regret saying that, he whispered. Before I could react, Kian lunged forward, his hand wrapping around my wrist. You're coming home with me, he hissed, dragging me toward the cave entrance. Let her go. Jax roared, staggering to his feet despite his injuries. But he was too weak, and Kian shoved him back effortlessly. As I screamed for Kian to stop, He turned to his brother with a chilling smile. "Stay here and die, Jax," he said coldly. "I'll make sure she never remembers you." Lightning split the sky outside as Kian dragged me into the storm, leaving Jax collapsing to the ground, blood pooling beneath him. And in my heart, a new terror bloomed. Not just for Jax's life, but for the child growing inside me, and what Kian might do when he discovered the truth. Asterisk, you chose him? Kian roared. The earth shook with his fury, his claws tearing into the ground. And in that moment I realized, I just doomed us all. Asterisk. Rain pelted my skin as Kian dragged me through the forest, his grip like iron around my wrist. "Kian, please," I sobbed, stumbling to keep up. My heart raced with terror for Jax, who was too weak to follow. "You're hurting me. You hurt me," he growled, his voice breaking through the storm like thunder. His gray eyes burned with rage and betrayal. "I trusted you, Alara. I claimed you, and you let him touch you." I stumbled over a tree root, falling to my knees. "It wasn't like that," I cried, clutching my stomach protectively. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand," he snarled, towering over me, rain dripping down his sharp jaw. "Why, Alara? Why him?" My throat tightened. The truth trembled on my lips, but fear choked me silent. Because if I told him now, if I revealed my secret, it might destroy us all. By the time we reached the Alpha estate, I was soaked and shivering. The pack members gathered in the courtyard, whispering behind their hands. 2 alphas fighting over 1 omega was unheard of and dangerous. Kian shoved me inside his private chambers, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. "Strip," he ordered, his voice low and lethal. My heart nearly stopped. "What?" "Strip," he repeated, stepping closer, his dominance rolling off him like heat. "Prove you didn't let him mark you. Prove you still belong to me." My breath caught. His words weren't just about ownership. They dripped with jealousy, with desire, with a need to consume me entirely. "Kian, please," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "Don't do this. I love you, but The door burst open. Jax stood there, bloodied and bruised but very much alive, his golden eyes blazing with fury. "Step away from her," he snarled, his voice rough but commanding. Kian's head snapped around, shock flashing across his face. "You should be dead." "Sorry to disappoint you, brother," Jax spat, staggering into the room. Then his gaze met mine, softening for just a moment. "Alara." I broke. "Jax." I cried, running to him before I could stop myself. My hands framed his face, my lips brushing his cheek as tears mingled with the rain on his skin. That single act sealed our fate. "You chose him," Kian said quietly, almost to himself. His hands curled into fists, his chest heaving. The storm outside seemed to answer his rage, thunder rumbling through the night. "No," I cried, turning to face him. "I didn't choose." "Don't lie to me," he roared, his claws ripping through the wooden floorboards. "You kissed him right in front of me," Jax growled, stepping protectively in front of me. "She didn't choose either of us, Kian. She doesn't belong to you." Kian's laugh was dark, twisted. "She's my omega. She was mine the moment I scented her." "Maybe she's mine," Jax shot back, his golden eyes glowing. "Maybe she always was." The 2 brothers squared off, muscles coiled, ready to tear each other apart. And I knew if they fought now, one of them wouldn't survive. "Stop," I screamed, throwing myself between them. They froze, their fury barely leashed. "You want to know why I ran? Why I protected Jax?" I cried, clutching my stomach. "Because of this." I grabbed their hands and pressed them against my belly. Both of them stilled, their eyes widening as they felt it, the faint but undeniable heartbeat beneath my skin. "I'm pregnant," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "And I don't know which of you is the father." The room exploded. Kian staggered back, his face pale with shock. You're carrying my heir," he breathed. Then his expression twisted into something terrifying. "Or his," he spat, glaring at Jax with murderous fury. Jax's chest heaved. You think you can control her just because she's pregnant? That child could be mine, my future, my mate's future. Their roars shook the walls as they lunged at each other, claws and teeth bared. I screamed, backing into the corner as the two most powerful alphas I'd ever known tried to kill each other. Outside, the pack began to howl. News spread like wildfire. The Omega is pregnant. The alphas are at war. Far from the chaos, the pack elders gathered in secret beneath the moonlight. This cannot continue, Elder Mara said, her ancient voice trembling. 2 alphas, 1 omega, and a child whose bloodline could destroy the balance. The others murmured their agreement. If we do nothing, the pack will fracture, another elder warned. Civil war will tear us apart. Mara's eyes gleamed with cold resolve. Then we must do what's necessary. The Omega and her unborn child must be removed from the equation, permanently. Back in the Alpha chambers, Kian finally pinned Jax to the floor, his claws at his brother's throat. I should kill you right now, he snarled. Do it, Jax spat, his voice ragged. At least then she'll know what kind of monster you really are. Kian, stop. I screamed, throwing myself over Jax. My stomach brushed against Kian's arm, and for a moment he froze. Move, he ordered, his voice shaking. No, I sobbed. If you kill him, you kill me too. I love you, Kian, but I also love him. I can't choose between you. The truth hung in the air, heavy and undeniable. Both brothers stared at me, broken in different ways. And that's when the attack came. The windows shattered as masked figures burst into the room, their sense unfamiliar and threatening. Protect the Omega. Jax roared, leaping to his feet despite his injuries. Kian shifted into his massive wolf form, tearing through the attackers with savage precision. But there were too many of them. One grabbed me from behind, a cloth pressed over my mouth. I thrashed, kicking and screaming, but my strength faded as the drug took hold. Through the haze, I heard Elder Mara's cold voice. Take her. Take the child. The alphas will destroy themselves without her. My last sight before darkness claimed me was Kian and Jax side by side for the first time, not fighting each other, but fighting for me. Their roars blended into one terrible sound as they ripped through the attackers, blood spraying across the moonlit floor. Ilera, they both screamed, their voices filled with desperation and rage. But it was too late. The world went black. I awoke to cold stone beneath me and the scent of burning herbs. Chains bound my wrists, and a circle of elders stood around me, chanting under the full moon. Elder Mara stepped forward, her eyes glowing with cruel determination. To restore balance, she intoned, the Omega and her unborn child must be sacrificed. Only then will the pack be free. My scream echoed through the night, and somewhere far away, 2 alphas heard it and swore vengeance. Asterisk, I wasn't a mate anymore. I wasn't their possession. I was the storm that would tear this pack apart. Asterisk. The chanting filled my skull like knives.